approach to electoral politics in the state. And so today I'll be giving a presentation on the observation that I've made in the last assembly election, which was the recent assembly election that took place in our state. The topic of my presentation is going to be on the decline of the Congress party and the need for strong opposition in Manipur. So, this presentation will be based on, like I have mentioned, the recently concluded assembly election in the state. If one analyzes the state assembly election, which was recently held, one observes that there has been two important trajectories happening in the recently held assembly election. The one is the upswing of the BJP in terms of its fortune, thanks to its spectacular success of achieving 32 seats or getting 32 seats. And the other one is the downward spiral of the Congress fortune, or the continual downward spiral of the Congress fortune, much like we have seen in other parts of the states. So the Congress, which used to be a dominant force in the state politics for a long time, was reduced to a single digit of 5 seats. So those are the two prominent developments that we have seen in the last assembly election. And then apart from these two political parties, we also witnessed the emergence of other political parties like the NPP. The NPP, of course, was already on a strong wicket in 2017 election, but even this time it was able to improve its tally, and along with JDU, the NPP won 6 seats each. And then the other political party that was able to improve its tally was the Naga People's Party. Last time it was able to win 4 seats, now it won 5 seats. And then another significant political force that emerged into the political landscape of our state is the Kogi People's Alliance. So this Kogi People's Alliance is an incarnation or the new avatar of the former Kogi National Assembly that used to be active in electoral politics in the state from around 1970s to 1990s. It has been moribund for a long time, so it has now revived into a new form. It has taken a new name called the Kogi National Alliance, and that party was able to win 2 seats. And apart from that, we also had 3 independents that won the election this time. So if you analyze all these things, you come to understand that there has been a paradigm shift taking place in the political landscape of our state. To give you the most prominent example would be the BJP coming into the BJP able to win an absolute majority on its own. And mind you, this is only the second time that a party has won an absolute majority after the Congress, I think in 2012. In 2012, the Congress won 42 seats. And this is the only second time in the state electoral history or political history that a party was able to achieve an absolute majority on its own. And then I would also briefly like to highlight the decline of the Congress party. So Manipur used to be a natural home for the Congress party. Congress had been a dominant political force in Manipur for a long time. And as a matter of fact, from 1963 to 2017, the Congress had been in power for around 41 years. So it had been in power for a long time in our state. And that period also coincided with the Congress winning election consecutively for 3 terms from 2002 to 2017. So in a way, the Congress party was the first party in Manipur, or the first party in our state that brought about political stability. Before 2002, our electoral politics was marred by defections and horse trading, and there was so much of political instability. And in fact, the presidential proclamation or promulgation had become the order of the day because of the body politic that was infested with instability. And since 2014, this Congress government that was on a steady ground, that was on a very strong ground, began to experience a decline. And that decline was also that decline coincided with the emergence and resurgence of BJP at the central level in 2014. And in 2017, the Congress, the party was still able to win the majority of the seats, but it fell short of forming the government. It somehow failed to gobble up a coalition government to form the coalition. It somehow failed to form a coalition to form a government. So since 2017, it has been on a terminal decline, and the party has been plagued by defections. It has also been plagued by leadership issue. And since this presentation is primarily focusing on the role of opposition party, opposition, I would also like to mention some of the important roles which are played by the opposition. First and foremost, I think that the opposition in a democratic setup or in a parliamentary democracy plays is the important function is to question. It is to question the government of the day and hold the government of the day accountable. So the primary function of any opposition party is to question the government and also to hold the government accountable for its act of commission as well as its act of non-commission. And then the second thing is to scrutinize the policies of the government and also pursue the policies of the government, understand the policies of the government, and also criticizes the government whenever it is necessary. So that is the second important function of the opposition. And then the third thing that the opposition does is to check the government from becoming authoritarian. So in a democracy, if if a political party dominates the political landscape so much, there is always the danger. There is always the danger, or there is always the danger of that democracy sliding into authoritarianism. So what the opposition does is to keep a check on or to prevent the political party in power from descending into authoritarianism. And then the fourth thing that the opposition party does is to play a constructive role. All the other things that I've just mentioned are mostly the negative role that the opposition party plays in a democracy. Now, the role of the opposition party is not only confined with a negative aspect or with just negative aspect. It is also it has also to do with positive aspect of hands together with the government in order for the public to benefit, or coordinating with the government to formulate a good framework that will benefit the public, or it could also be in the form of giving good suggestions to the government, so that the government, those suggestions will be translated into policy that will eventually benefit the public at large. And then since these are the functions that I have just mentioned are what the opposition does. If a state like Manipur or if a state like India doesn't have a strong opposition, then there are so many so to say bad things that could happen to a democracy. For example, a weak opposition, if a weak opposition put up dissidents against the government, then it is very likely that the government will not listen to an opposition which is a weak force or which is a spent force. Or if the government is sliding into authoritarianism, which we have witnessed even at the central level, the government, even if the opposition party criticizes such a descent into authoritarianism, the government of the day is not likely to listen to the instruction or to the criticism made by the opposition. Or if the opposition is weak, it will not be able to put a tap on the government, thereby thereby increasing the risk of a democracy turning into a one-party democracy. So I also made an observation. This is just my observation. This is just my opinion. India is also slowly turning into a one-party democracy, right? Since 2014, BJP has been so dominating that it has already turned the country into a one-party democracy type. So that is actually dangerous for actually dangerous for a democracy. It is also detrimental for the constitutional and democratic principles. So we need a strong opposition in order to keep a check and balance on the activities of the government. And therefore, it is, I would say, that a democratic imperative on the part of the democracy to always have a strong opposition. And I would also like to make a case for the Congress Party, to revive itself, because not that because I have this nostalgic notion about the Congress Party, or I'm not trying to romanticize the role of the Congress, but I see the Congress Party as the only capable party, at least in our state, at least in the state of Manipur, to be able to mount a good opposition against the rising BJP that we are experiencing now. Because a counter argument can also be made about, one can also say, what about other political parties? For example, if the Congress Party is stealing ground, if the Congress Party has got weakened, then other political parties also could come up that could play an important role. But again, we have to understand the reality here, because other political parties like NPP, I'm speaking in the context of the state, other political parties like NPP or NPF or JDU, they have some form of partnership with the BJP at one level or the other. For example, you see NEDA, Northeast Democratic Alliance. NEDA is basically an anti-Congress alliance, which was formed in 2016, right? So you cannot expect members of NEDA to mount a strong, to be able to stand up against the BJP, even if they want the numbers, even if they have the required numbers to form the opposition. I don't believe that this, or for take the example of JDU. JDU is the partnership of NDA at the central level again. So, since Congress is the only political party that has an ideological difference, a deep ideological difference with the BJP, in order for our state to have a strong opposition back, which we currently do not have. Congress has only five seats, so it is sitting in the opposition bench now, and it is a very good position that we are currently having. So, in order for our state to have a strong opposition, that would be able to maintain check and balances on the government. The Congress has to revive itself again. It has to put itself together, and it should by any means try to increase its tally next time around, so that they will be able to form a significant opposition. They will be able to put a strong opposition against the BJP. And the premise of this argument is also that we are living in a BJP era. So for sometimes now the electoral landscape of the state as well as the central government will be dominated by the BJP. So possibly in 2020, there's a saying that politics is a long time. A week is a long time in politics. But for all intents and purposes, for all the data that are available, for all the evidence that are available on us, we can somehow safely say that the BJP might come back to power again at the center in the next Lok Sabha election, and the BJP in the state also will still be in a strong wicket again in the next state assembly election. Therefore, it is imperative, or a democratic imperative, for the Congress Party to keep each house in order, and to try to strengthen its organizational base, so that next time when the state election comes around, it will be able to produce a better result. It will be able to get a higher tally than what they did in 2002, so that we do not experience what is known as one-party democracy, and we experience a government that will be able to observe some democratic decency under the pressure of the opposition, which is in this case the So, for the conclusion part, the BJP and its allied, this is the statement which often comes up from BJP is about the Congress Move Bharat, or it's about Congress Move Northeast or Congress. So this idea is, personally I feel this is an anti-democratic idea. And if we experience, if there is no Congress in, let's say hypothetically speaking, if there is no Congress in Manipur, then like I've mentioned, all the other political parties are friendly to the BJP, and we might have the prospect of having an opposition-based government. So it is, I would like to reiterate again that it is a democratic imperative that we have a strong opposition in a democracy, and for the state of Manipur, it is imperative that the Congress once again bounce back in the next state assembly election, so that it will be able to keep the BJP or whatever party comes to power accountable. So with this, I would like to